AITA for banning my sister from my house after she keeps, accidentally, disrespecting my boundaries? She says I'm being dramatic and that she's just forgetful, but this has happened at least a dozen times. My family says sisters should be more understanding of each other's quirks. I, 32F, am at my absolute breaking point with my sister Vanessa, 29F, and I need to know if I'm being unreasonable or if I'm justified in what I'm about to do. Vanessa and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, she was the baby of the family and got away with a lot more than I did. I was the responsible older sister. She was the fun, spontaneous younger one. Our parents always made excuses for her behavior. That's just how Vanessa is. She doesn't mean anything by it. You're too sensitive. I learned to just accept that Vanessa got special treatment and that calling out her behavior would make me the bad guy. We're adults now, and I thought maybe things would change. They haven't. Here's the thing. Vanessa has this pattern of accidentally crossing my boundaries. And I mean constantly. Every single time I set a rule or express a preference, she somehow forgets, or didn't realize, or it was an accident. Let me give you examples because this has been building for years. Example 1. 3 years ago, I'm severely allergic to shellfish. Like, EpiPen level allergic. I've told Vanessa this countless times. She forgot and brought a shrimp dish to my birthday dinner at my house, then got offended when I asked her to take it home because I couldn't have it in my kitchen. She said I was ruining the party over one little dish. Example 2. 2 years ago, I specifically asked family not to post photos of my wedding on social media until I posted them first. I wanted to control my own wedding announcement. Vanessa posted a full album within an hour of the ceremony ending. When I confronted her, she said she forgot and was just so excited. Example 3. 2 years ago, my husband Dan and I have a rule. No one comes over without calling first. We both work from home and need advance notice. Vanessa has shown up unannounced at least 15 times. Every time, she says she was in the neighborhood and didn't think it was a big deal. Example 4. 18 months ago, I'm a graphic designer and was working on a freelance project for a client. I had designs saved on my laptop. Vanessa was visiting and asked to use my computer to check her email. I said yes, but specifically told her not to open any other programs or files. She opened my design folder, looked through my work, and then showed some of my unreleased designs to her friends on Instagram, tagging my client. The client was furious. Vanessa said she didn't realize they were private. Example 5. 1 year ago, Dan and I were trying to conceive and keeping it private. I told Vanessa in confidence because I needed someone to talk to. Within a week, she'd told our entire extended family. When I confronted her, she said she thought I'd told Mom already and didn't realize it was a secret. Example 6. 10 months ago, I asked Vanessa to watch my cat for a weekend while Dan and I went out of town. I have a very specific feeding schedule because my cat has diabetes. I wrote down detailed instructions. Vanessa forgot to feed him on schedule, and he ended up at the emergency vet. She said she got busy and didn't think one missed feeding would matter. Example 7. 8 months ago, I borrowed a designer dress to Vanessa for her friend's wedding, with the explicit instruction that she needed to dry clean it and return it within a week because I needed it for an event. She kept it for a month, returned it with a stain, and said she forgot I needed it back. Example 8. 6 months ago, Dan and I announced we were pregnant. I asked Vanessa not to announce it on social media until after our 12-week scan, as we wanted to wait until we were past the risky first trimester. She posted congrats to my sister on her pregnancy, with a photo of my ultrasound that I'd sent her privately at 8 weeks. When I called her crying, she said she didn't know that was a thing people did and thought I was just being paranoid. Example 9. 4 months ago, I had a miscarriage at 14 weeks. It was devastating. I asked family to please not bring it up unless I brought it up first, as I needed space to grieve. Vanessa brought it up at a family dinner in front of everyone, asking loudly, "So are you guys going to try again soon, or are you taking a break?" I left the table in tears. She said she was just trying to be supportive. Example 10. 2 months ago, after the miscarriage, Dan and I adopted a puppy to help with the grief. I asked Vanessa specifically not to bring her new boyfriend over without asking first, because the puppy was still being trained and didn't do well with strangers. She brought him anyway. The puppy had an accident on the carpet from stress. Vanessa said she forgot I'd asked her not to bring anyone. Example 11. 1 month ago, I meal prep on Sundays and keep my meals in labeled containers in my fridge. Vanessa came over and ate 3 days' worth of my lunches. When I pointed it out, she said she thought they were for everyone, even though they were clearly labeled with my name and the days of the week. Example 12. 3 weeks ago, I'm currently 12 weeks pregnant again. We got pregnant sooner than expected after the miscarriage, and we're being very cautious and private this time. I told Vanessa in person, face to face, looking her in the eyes. We are not telling anyone else yet. Not mom, not dad, no one. And absolutely no social media. Do you understand? She nodded and said, Of course, I learned my lesson. Yesterday, I found out she told our mom, who told our aunt, who told her daughter, and now half the family knows. When I called her, she said, I only told mom. I didn't think she'd tell everyone else. How was I supposed to know? That was my final straw. I called Vanessa and told her she's no longer welcome in my home. That I'm done with her forgetting things, done with her accidents, done with her crossing every single boundary I set. She started crying, saying I'm being cruel and that she doesn't do these things on purpose. She said she's just forgetful and doesn't always think things through, and that I'm being mean by cutting her off over honest mistakes. I said, Vanessa, at a certain point, a pattern of behavior stops being accidents and starts being who you are as a person. You've crossed my boundaries dozens of times. You've cost me money, clients, privacy, and peace of mind. I don't believe these are accidents anymore. She said, You really think I'm doing this on purpose? What would I even gain from that? I didn't have an answer to that, which made me second-guess myself. What would she gain? Why would someone intentionally do these things? But then I thought about how it's always my boundaries she forgets. She doesn't forget her boss's rules. She doesn't forget her boyfriend's preferences. She doesn't accidentally cross boundaries with her friends. It's only me. Vanessa hung up on me and immediately called our mom. Within an hour, I had calls from my mom, my dad, and 2 aunts. They all said the same thing. I'm being too harsh. Vanessa doesn't mean any harm. She's just not detail-oriented. I'm being dramatic. Sisters should forgive each other. Family is forever, etc. My mom said, Vanessa has always been a little scattered. You know that. You can't punish her for being forgetful. I said, She's not forgetful. She remembers everything that matters to her. She only forgets things that matter to me. My mom said I was being paranoid and turning this into something it's not. My dad said I'm holding grudges and that I should let it go because that's what family does. Even Dan is somewhat split on this. He agrees that Vanessa crosses boundaries constantly and that it's frustrating, but he thinks maybe banning her from our house is too extreme. He suggested we just stop telling her things or seeing her as often instead. But I'm tired of managing someone else's forgetfulness. I'm tired of having to remember to protect myself from my own sister. The thing that really gets me is this. If these were truly accidents, wouldn't she feel terrible? Wouldn't she be apologizing profusely and trying to make it right? Instead, every time, her response is defensive. She makes excuses. She minimizes what she did. She turns it around on me for being too sensitive or too controlling. That doesn't feel like someone who's genuinely sorry for an accident. That feels like someone who doesn't think they did anything wrong. But my family is acting like I'm the villain here. Like I'm this uptight, unforgiving person who can't let go of minor mistakes. And maybe I am. Maybe I'm being too rigid. Maybe I need to just accept that Vanessa is like this and adjust my expectations. But I'm also 12 weeks pregnant after a devastating miscarriage, and I cannot handle the stress of wondering what boundaries she'll cross next. What if she posts about this pregnancy before we're ready? What if she tells someone something private about our baby? What if she forgets something that actually matters? I need peace right now. And Vanessa is not a peaceful presence in my life. So Reddit, AITA? Am I being too harsh by banning my sister from my home after years of her accidentally crossing my boundaries? Or am I justified in protecting myself and my family from her pattern of behavior? Edit. A lot of people are asking if I've ever sat Vanessa down and had a serious conversation about this pattern.
I have.
Multiple times. After the wedding photos, after the pregnancy announcement, after the miscarriage comment, I've tried to explain how her actions affect me. Every time, she cries, apologizes, promises to do better, and then does the same thing again. Edit 2. Someone asked if Vanessa has ADHD or some other condition that might explain the forgetfulness. Not that I know of. She's never been diagnosed with anything. And again, she doesn't forget things in other areas of her life, just things related to me. Edit 3. For those asking why I keep telling her things, honestly, you're right. I've been trying to maintain a relationship with her because she's my sister and because family pressure is intense. But clearly, that's not working. Update, 2 days later. Something happened that I need to share because it's completely changed my perspective on this entire situation. Yesterday afternoon, I got a text from Vanessa. I can't believe you're turning the whole family against me. I hope you're happy.
I didn't respond.
I was done engaging. Then, last night, I got a message from someone I didn't expect, Vanessa's boyfriend, Chris. We've only met once or twice, but he asked if we could talk. I was hesitant, but I agreed to meet him for coffee this morning. What he told me was, I don't even know how to process it. Chris said he's been dating Vanessa for about 5 months now, and in that time, he's noticed some concerning patterns in how she talks about me. He said Vanessa frequently complains about me, that I'm controlling, that I think I'm better than her, that I'm always trying to make her look bad, that I get everything handed to me, while she has to work for everything. At first, Chris thought it was just normal sibling rivalry stuff. But then he started noticing that Vanessa would sometimes do things specifically to upset me, and then she'd laugh about it with him. He gave me specific examples. The pregnancy announcement. Vanessa told Chris before she posted it that I'd asked her not to share it on social media. She said, "Watch, she's going to be so mad at me for this, but whatever. It's my social media, I can post what I want." The boyfriend visit with the puppy. Chris is the boyfriend she brought over. He said he'd asked Vanessa if it was okay to come, and she'd specifically said, "My sister said not to bring you, but she's being ridiculous. She needs to learn the world doesn't revolve around her." The recent pregnancy information. Chris was there when Vanessa called our mom to tell her about my pregnancy. He said Vanessa looked him right in the eye while dialing and said, "She's going to be so pissed, but honestly, she needs to get over herself. Mom has a right to know." Chris said he initially thought this was just Vanessa being frustrated with me, but the more he watched, the more he realized she was doing these things deliberately and then playing innocent when confronted. He said the final straw for him was 2 days ago, after I banned her from my house. Vanessa was on the phone with our mom, crying about how mean I was being, how she doesn't understand what she did wrong, how she's just forgetful. Then, when she hung up, she turned to Chris and said, "God, she's so easy to manipulate. She actually thinks I'm going to change."
And laughed.
Chris said he felt sick. He told Vanessa that what she was doing was cruel, and she got defensive and said I deserve it because I've always acted like I'm perfect and always looked down on her. When he pushed back, she told him he didn't understand sibling dynamics and that this is just how she and I relate. Chris said he's planning to break up with her, but he wanted to tell me the truth first because he felt like I deserved to know that I wasn't crazy, that this was intentional. I just sat there in the coffee shop, completely numb. All these years, I've questioned myself. Wondered if I was being too sensitive, too unforgiving, too harsh. My family convinced me I was the problem, that I needed to be more understanding of Vanessa's quirks. But it was intentional. All of it. She's been deliberately crossing my boundaries for years, then playing the victim when I called her out, and watching me get blamed by our family. I asked Chris why he thought she was doing this. He said from what he's observed, Vanessa seems to resent me. She's convinced that I've had an easier life, that I'm the favorite, that everything comes easier to me. Chris said Vanessa has mentioned multiple times that our parents always took your side and that she could never live up to you. Which is insane to me because I always felt like Vanessa was the favorite. She got away with everything while I had to be the responsible one. But apparently, in her mind, she's the victim. After talking to Chris, I called my best friend and told her everything. She said something that really struck me. You know what this is? It's death by 1,000 cuts. She's been making your life harder in small ways for years, and every time you try to protect yourself, she made you look like the bad guy. That's not forgetfulness. That's calculated. I'm still processing all of this. Part of me is relieved that I'm not crazy, that my instincts were right. But part of me is heartbroken. My sister has been sabotaging me for years. On purpose. And enjoying it. I don't know what to do with this information. Do I tell my parents? Do I confront Vanessa? Do I just walk away and never look back? Update 2, 4 days after the first update. I decided to tell my parents. I needed them to know the truth. I invited them to my house and showed them the text messages Chris had sent me with screenshots of some of his conversations with Vanessa. He thought to document things once he realized how bad it was. The screenshots included a text where Vanessa laughed about posting my pregnancy announcement early, a text where she said she can't wait to see my face when she told mom about the current pregnancy, a text where she said I'm so predictable and always falls for it. My parents sat there reading them, and I watched their faces change. My mom started crying. My dad looked angry. I don't understand, my mom said. Why would she do this? I said, Chris thinks she resents me. That she thinks I've had everything easier, that you've favored me. My dad said, that's ridiculous. We've always treated you girls equally. And that's when I kind of lost it. No, you haven't. You've made excuses for Vanessa my entire life. Every time she crossed a boundary, you told me to let it go. You told me I was too sensitive. You made me feel like I was the problem when I tried to protect myself from her. You enabled her to treat me like this for years. My mom tried to argue, but I cut her off. When she posted my wedding photos early, you told me to let it go. When she told everyone about my miscarriage, you said she was just trying to be supportive. When she announced my pregnancy after I explicitly told her not to, you said she didn't mean any harm. You have always taken her side. My dad was quiet for a long moment, then said, You're right. We did. We thought we were just keeping the peace. We thought you were strong enough to handle it and she was fragile. We didn't realize we were teaching her that she could treat you however she wanted. It was the first time either of them had ever acknowledged this pattern. My mom asked what I wanted them to do. I said I needed them to stop making excuses for Vanessa, to stop pressuring me to have a relationship with her, to stop acting like I'm the problem when I set boundaries. They agreed. My dad said he'd talk to Vanessa. Yesterday, my parents confronted Vanessa and showed her the screenshots Chris had sent. According to my mom, Vanessa tried to deny it at first, then claimed Chris had misunderstood her, then finally broke down and admitted she'd been frustrated with me and maybe took things too far. My mom said Vanessa tried to justify it by saying I've always had everything figured out while she's struggled, and that it wasn't fair that I got all the success while she had to work harder. My parents told her that regardless of her feelings, her behavior toward me was unacceptable and that they wouldn't be supporting her or making excuses for her anymore. Vanessa apparently lost it. She accused them of choosing me over her, said they'd always loved me more, and stormed out. She's now posting on social media about toxic family members and people who turn everyone against you. She's not naming names, but it's obviously about me. Some extended family members who don't know the full story have reached out asking what happened. I've been sending them the screenshots and a brief explanation. Most have been supportive. A few still think I should work it out with Vanessa because family is family. As for me, I'm grieving. Not for the relationship we had because that was apparently fake, but for the relationship I thought we had. For the sister I thought I knew. Dan has been amazing through all of this. He's completely supportive of cutting Vanessa off and has promised to handle any future interactions with her if they become necessary, like at family events. I'm also in therapy now to process all of this. My therapist says what Vanessa did is a form of emotional abuse called covert sabotage, where someone undermines you in subtle ways while maintaining plausible deniability. I'm learning that it's okay to protect myself, even from family. That setting boundaries doesn't make me a bad person. That I don't owe anyone access to my life just because we share DNA. It's going to take time to heal from this. But for the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. Like I don't have to be constantly vigilant about what information I share or what boundaries might get crossed next. Vanessa is out of my life, and I'm okay with that. Final update, 3 weeks later. I'm adding this final update to close out this chapter. Vanessa reached out to me once via email with a long message about how she's sorry I feel hurt, but that she's not going to apologize for her feelings and that I've always made her feel inferior. I didn't respond. There's nothing to say to someone who's that deep in their own narrative. Chris broke up with Vanessa. He sent me a brief message saying he hoped I was doing okay and that he was sorry for his part in not speaking up sooner. I appreciated it. My parents have been working on setting better boundaries with Vanessa. She's complained to them multiple times that they're abandoning her and taking my side, but they're holding firm. It's been hard for them, but I think they're finally seeing the pattern they enabled for so many years. As for me, I'm 16 weeks pregnant now, and everything is going well. Dan and I announced it publicly last week, on our own terms, on our own timeline. Vanessa didn't acknowledge it, which is fine by me. I've also reconnected with some extended family members who had drifted away over the years, and several of them have admitted they stopped coming around because Vanessa's drama was exhausting. Apparently, I wasn't the only one she treated this way, just the primary target. The biggest change is internal, though. I'm not second-guessing myself anymore. I'm not wondering if I'm too sensitive or too harsh. I trust my own judgment now. And when someone crosses a boundary, I enforce it without guilt. To anyone reading this who has a family member who accidentally crosses boundaries over and over, trust your gut. Patterns are patterns for a reason. And you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if that someone is family. Thank you, Reddit, for validating my experience and giving me the courage to stand up for myself. You helped me see clearly when I was being gaslit by my entire family. I'll never forget that. Red Heart.